This is Pam Smith with Farm Journal Magazine. I'm with Chuck Foresman with Syngenta. Chuck, you've been talking to me about weed resistance, and growers have heard a lot about it lately, and they're starting to get the message. Tell me what you're seeing out there and what's been happening in the 2010 season.
Well, Pam, unfortunately, 2010 seems to be a bit of a repeat of 2009, a repeat of 2008, where we continue to see this evolution of glyphosate-resistant weeds. Not so much new biotypes or new species, but additional states added to the list that might have a problem. So I think we're making some progress in some areas. I was talking to one of my good friends down in Arkansas here a couple of weeks ago, and he's telling me that a lot of the growers down there that recognize that they've got a problem, if they actually can take to heart to do something about it, and that usually is using a pre-emergent residual herbicide, then they can grow good, clean crops.
Okay.
So this is not something that that is unmanageable. It is manageable at this point in time. It's just that all these tools need to be used together and in concert.
One of the words that I kept hearing you say is timely.
Timely, yes.
Yeah, and how do you do that? I mean, they've got a lot of acres to get over.
They do have a lot of acres to get over, but that's the beauty of a pre-emergent residual herbicide. You put that out, you get it activated, and it allows for that post-emergence application to be timely.
Okay.
And so it gives you a few more days, a few more weeks to possibly get that post out there. And let us not forget that the most important weed control agent that you have in your field, it's not a herbicide, it's not cultivation, it's a crop canopy.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that crop canopy going. Anything you can do to enhance the development of that crop canopy, do it. And that includes using insecticides, seed treatments. We have this Cruiser Max that's out there these days. That's just phenomenal what it does to soybeans. They just absolutely jump out of the ground. And that's why I like about it. You end up with good crop canopy only a few days after planting. So that's important.
Now, the guys in the South are struggling with Palmer amaranth, and water hemp is a relative of that. Is it as difficult to control as Palmer? Because we hear a lot of really horror stories coming from the Southern guys.
Yeah. The problem with Palmer, and I'll just answer your question, water hemp is easier to control than Palmer amaranth.
Okay.
And the reason for that is Palmer amaranth can grow more quickly per day. They've shown that Palmer amaranth is, they've measured it, it can grow 3 to 4 inches in a 48-hour period. So, you know, water hemp can jump as well. And I'm sure there's anecdotal information about that, yeah, water hemp can grow 2 inches a day or 3 inches a day as well, but I just haven't seen the data. My view is, and I talked to a lot of people about it, Palmer amaranth is just a much more aggressive weed. In fact, just so you know, Palmer amaranth originated in dry areas, the most arid parts of this country, like the desert Southwest. And it's gradually evolved and changed, and it's found a home, particularly in the South.
Okay.
And so it's really the adaptation of that weed that makes it so aggressive. But there is some difference between the two, but it's not worlds apart.
Okay. All right. So being timely, going with a residual,
yes.
And I guess walking those fields, knowing what's out there.
I'm a big proponent of making sure that you don't build that seed bank.
Okay.
Because if you build that seed bank with a lot of water hemp, you're going to have that to deal with for about the next 7 years. And that's even under situations where you have pristine weed control. So control water hemp. Water hemp is one of those weeds that, as you pointed out today and earlier in the meeting, in the state of Illinois, there's 5 different modes of action that it has evolved resistance to. Now, there's no one single plant that's been identified that has all those 5 modes of action, but it demonstrates that this weed has an ability to evolve and change and handle a lot of different herbicides. So I like the idea of a pre-emergent residual because when you apply a pre-emergent residual herbicide to a germinating seed, it's easier to control. It's not as robust. The enzyme systems aren't up and running like they are in a fully developed plant. So don't forget about the pre's. They're very important.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck.